Getaway is the first BL series in Singapore that explores the realness of the gay community and also the drama that comes with falling in love. But what does it take to explore these uncharted waters? On this episode on In My Opinion, they discuss with me, Hirzi, the founding prince of Singapore's YouTube and also the national treasure of Singapore, on what it takes to be part of this groundbreaking project. Dude, if I tell a story of the brown Malay boy who's secretly scared and queer, I would like to do that boy a justice. I hope whatever narrative and storyline I get to do is close to home and close to heart, where these kids watch and they go like, okay, that's my story.
Hello everybody, welcome to another episode of In My Opinion. My name is John.
My name is Alester.
And my name is Beyonce.
You are not the only person that says this, because we have a number of guests that actually call themselves Ariana Grande or Beyonce, but if you want to know who, right? Please subscribe to us, like, share, and follow on our Instagram, YouTube, Twitch, Telegram, and
TikTok.
All
over
Spotify, not over
OnlyFans.
We also say that all the time. We are in such alignment.
Soon.
Yeah, but you can go and figure out who is.
Hirzi will help us set it up.
Oh my god, we're all three water signs.
Yes.
Damn right.
Two Cancers and one Pisces.
The water signs today are here to congregate to talk about Singapore's first BL series. And the reason why, because Hirzi is here, he was part of it.
Yes.
And yes, Hirzi, for the people who don't know who Hirzi is, first of all,
how dare you?
What the hell?
Yeah.
Why don't Hirzi? Why don't you give a quick introduction for the ignorant?
Yes. Hi, ignorant.
Actually, this is going up on YouTube. So this is you are the OG.
I'm the founding prince and princess of YouTube Singapore. Okay, that was our YouTube bio at one point in time.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, the founding prince and princess. You're like, what? No, shut up lah, Muna Hirzi. So my name is Hirzi. I am the founding prince of YouTube Singapore. I am Happy Pride Month. I was also a Pink Dot ambassador, and I guess right now I am on one of Singapore's first BL series.
Yes.
And I would be the first Malay to ever do a BL series, I guess.
I think you are.
I think yeah.
I was about to put it in the questions, but I was just I didn't really fact check it, but I think you are.
Yeah, but like really, what's the power of being the first? It's about.
You're paving the path, Hirzi.
Okay.
You're paving the path. But for the people who don't know what the BL series is, like me, just like a few like years ago.
Cisgendered heteros.
Yeah.
Privileged.
I'll take it. Basically, for the people who don't know what BL is boy love, and basically it's just like a genre of film. It's just like gay BL.
We still need to break down boy love after the words boy and love come out.
I don't know what to tell you, man.
Actually, why must we call it boy love? Why can't we just call it like gay storylines?
I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I asked. But apparently it's like a series name.
Invented the word boy love?
What I've been doing is studying a lot of boy love series since doing the gig. And I realized that boy love series has a specific tone to it, actually, also beyond just a story about men and men being in love with each other.
Yeah.
Much like how K-drama has a tone.
Yes.
BL series also have its own. So most storylines within BL series has to have this cutesy love connection between two male, and it's always very demure and like a very passive versus an aggressive love storyline. And often the tease is in when they first kiss. So there will always be that moment where they almost kiss, and kind of like a K-drama.
It's like a K-drama. It reminds me of a K-drama.
Yeah, actually.
I've really never watched enough drama.
So what are some of the tropes?
I didn't even know it was so
milking the kiss. Milking the kiss, milking the sex scene. They don't do it so like suddenly. The romance, they stretch it out. I say that, but like in the first episode of Getaway,
I was just about to say.
We were about you know what? Why don't we get into the question? Because one of the questions I was going to ask you is that, okay, so there are like BL films have been like really, really popular in recent times, right? Yeah. So like what is Getaway doing that's different from the rest of the films? Because like, you know, let's enlighten the two of us who haven't really been following that that genre.
Okay.
Getaway was my first experience with BL, like anything. BL
There'll be
content.
like a list I'll give you, and then you guys go, oh, interesting. Because I think to answer your question first is, there has been, I'm going to address the surge of followship that BL series have gotten so far.
Right.
And shockingly, at least 60 to 70% of the population that watch it are not gay men. They are actually hetero, cisgendered, straight women.
I realized that as well.
Yeah, and women just love to see cute authentic love storylines that are, because I think when people not from the community think of gay love storylines, they always think of the sex of it all, because like, you know, it's the only thing that's different about straight love is the idea of how men and men have sex.
Yeah.
But on BL series, it really stretches the human aspect of it, which is the love, the emotional connection. And I think women are not done, but like, I use the word titillate. Can I say that?
Yeah.
Yeah, do you know what? Say whatever you want.
Straight cisgender women are titillated by milking the emotion of the love story between two men now.
Right.
So if you go to Thailand, right, you know who makes the most money? It's all these BL actors. You go to any billboard, it's Tyne, it's Sarawat. These are the characters from that one BL story I follow. Still together.
Oh.
I clearly
Is
have
it like
not watched.
the BL equivalent of like Descendants of the Sun? Like, is it that
Big
level?
bro, they big bro. Potato chip at 7-Eleven, their face.
Oh, for real?
Really.
Wow.
And this is so interesting because in the industry in Thailand,
Yeah.
the mainstream TV market is government funded, so they cannot do anything BL covered.
Yeah.
So independent filmmakers and web series creators have all independently created all these series, which became such a booming market in Thailand that they together collectively made their own network. So BL industry is their own thing, and it's not government aided, and it honestly sometimes is as big as mainstream, if not bigger.
I can definitely understand the appeal of it, especially because it's like a lot more different from, I guess it's a different take of like a very, like, I guess the genre that's already very overdone, right?
Yeah.
Like, love is a super overdone genre in general, and this is like a fresh new take, and it's quite refreshing to see. How has Getaway done different?
Okay, so Getaway is exciting because it involves a co-production element, which I appreciate a lot. And I think Sean, the producer for The Straight People, who also plays the lead.
Shout out to Sean.
Shout out to Sean. He's really a people person. He's a network ingenue. You know, he knows how to connect things together, and bam, things fall together nicely. And so there was a lot of co-production which we don't typically see yet on any BL series. The aspect of having half the production Thai and Singaporean, it's very exciting to watch because here is a market which is established with their BL series, and then this is Singapore's first. So to see the cross culture of it all, the element of that, it's not just cute to follow, but it sort of globally unifies the communities and the BL fandoms together. You'd be surprised by what I've noticed, especially on my Instagram now. I have new followers from Latin America.
Oh,
yeah, so
from that series?
Yeah, from that series. And like if you look at the comment section, it's a lot of people from Latin America. And I believe Latin America has a huge consumer market for BL dramas as well. So I really truly enjoy the co-production of it, of seeing Singaporean elements. And I think it's nice to, because when I got the role, I was like, do I need to speak Thai? Because initially my character was Thai.
Oh yeah.
And then, because I said, I can't speak Thai. It's never mind, we'll change your character up to be a Malay Singaporean. And I like that I could sound Singlish.
Yeah.
Like, I wasn't forcing myself to be something else. I mean, as an actor, I should always challenge myself. But I like the Singaporean sound of it all. Like when you hear Stephen Lim speak, you hear the Manglish Singlish. When you hear me, Stephen Lim, the actor on the show, not the Stephen Lim.
Happy
birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
I love how when I laughed, right, he immediately went to like Stephen Lim Coco.
Why is he laughing?
Important.
So Sean, me, and Stephen, and Otto Fong, we all spoke in a Singaporean vernacular. It's not like Singlish like that, but we didn't fake. Yes. And then the Thai cast were using Thai. It was very it was so nice, the cross culture.
And it's very interesting that they point out that there's a lot of Latin viewers as well, because like there's to me as a Singaporean watching it, there are a lot of Singaporean references, right? And a lot of like cultural roots in the the film, for example, like about the coming out part, and like how like Asian society is a little bit less like I guess forgiving when it comes to that. Like all these are like a lot more close to home, right? But it's very interesting to me that despite it being still very heavily rooted in not just like Singaporean culture but Thai culture, that people from like Latam or like other parts of the world can still relate to it somehow. I just want, like, how do you think Sean managed to do that in that sense?
No, do you also think, right, that the reason why it has an appeal in it has a wide appeal, right, is because there's something rebellious about BL as a genre?
In Singapore, yes. I think so. And I think many prongs, right? I think to be the first, all eyes on you, because how are you going to do it? good, bad, or finished,
Yeah.
is always the question Singaporeans will have on other Singaporeans.
Yeah.
But I think on a global market, they're just, even from the more professional, established Thai scene,
Yeah.
they're just more excited to see like how is Singapore going to cover storylines?
Yeah.
What is the Singaporean? Because Thais will have their own narrative,
Yeah.
Filipinos will have their own, Taiwanese will have their own type of
Yeah, yeah,
narrative. And I think I guess, the element of family being the core of this instead of just romance or school. You know, it's basically the journey of this guy who got, kicked out of his. Am I spoiling for anyone? Basically,
Nah. It's the first episode.
It's the first,
But-
10 minutes of the first few minutes.
if you
of
watch the trailer, you would know, okay, what goes on.
By the time this episode releases on YouTube, actually the season finale has already been posted. So go and watch it.
Yeah.
And yes, continue.
And so I like that family is the jugular of this the series, and I think if this is the what do you call it, the stepping stone
Yeah.
of Getaway as a series, I think 2, 3, 4, 5 is gonna be, the potential is great.
Right. Right.
And I mean, you could touch a little bit about like why you think Getaway is a great project. And I know I think from what I know, you're a very particular person about what projects you decide to be involved in.
No lah, just pay me. Okay, shout
Particular about the
out
paycheck.
to the PR.
Damn right. Are you so like what drew you to this project like right away? And do you think it has been realized like what you thought was the potential
Yeah.
Getaway?
I just wanted a holiday in Thailand.
Is that it? Was that what Sean showed
And
you?
it was
Like,
great
hey,
success!
he's like, hey,
Yeah,
the
do you want a
hotel-
holiday in Thailand?
And they're like, hell yeah.
All you do is to stop in the toilet and say that at least he's hot this time.
Okay, just beyond the community itself,
Yeah.
just me as an actor, me as an individual, me as a person. I think as an artist, I always like the potential of co-pros between countries, and I love being able to work outside my domestic market.
Right.
I wanted to know if, selfishly, I wanted to know if my talent could translate in other territories.
Yeah.
And it was a time where I needed that the most, because 2 years in a pandemic, I started doubting my craft and who I was, and then to be reaffirmed in a different territory. Wow, I'm just gonna give a shout out to the director, Kun Ark. He doesn't know how much of what his little exchange with me had done to me, and the spiraling anxiety I was going through in my mind at that point of time. He basically said to me, because after the whole thing was over, we bumped again into like we were at a place and then we bumped again into each other, and he said, "You were very good. You came and you liked the scene."
And accent and all.
I have this thing where I tell a story and I cannot
The accent and all.
a person.
That's such a nice thing.
And he said that to me, and I was just like, "Oh my!" I literally sat on that moment and used that to motivate me since I came back
cry?
from Singapore. No, but I hold
But
that.
warm.
I hold that story because I remember my heart jolted.
Oh, you.
It felt like someone resuscitated
Yeah.
me in that moment, and I believed in myself again.
Nice.
It sounds dumb, but Hirzi has moments he don't believe in himself. Yeah.
As we all do, as we all do.
Unbelievable.
Were you nervous going to this?
I wasn't nervous. I knew I could do it.
Yeah.
I just needed an opportunity to do it. So I was very thankful that Sean rocked up, said,
Yeah.
"I want you on this. I think you'd be great on it." And then what was nice was like everyone after my scene, they across the board say, "Were they right? Were they right flying him down?" I'm like, "Yeah, what?"
And you know what? You're gonna get an even bigger opportunity, right? Because
This was a spoiler.
Spoiler alert, right?
you're probably gonna get even bigger opportunity because, like, spoiler, there's
To me,
Sean is trying very hard to make a season 2. In fact, there's a fundraiser right now going
Yes,
on.
yes.
So if you're made this far and you're a fan of Hirzi, a fan of the series, a fan of Dear Straight People, everything, I just want to show your support. Please go on to the links down below and show your support. He's having a fundraising thing now. And if you need any more reason why, Sean has said to me that he plans to cast you as the main lead in the next season.
Yeah.
Which I just found out you did not know.
So what had happened, shout out context and backstory, is I asked, what are the questions you're going to be asking me in the podcast? And he had listed me these questions. And then when I read at this part, I'd be like, I guess Sean hasn't even told me about this, but I'm learning it from this podcast. So that's kind of cool. Dude, when I read your question on WhatsApp for me, I was like, what? I'm glad I said yes the first time. Dude, that would be so sick. I think when I watched the series, I was like, I understood the importance of the genre for the community on a larger capacity. It's bigger than me. And so to see people of my skin, my heritage, my ethnic group being reflected on genres which don't typically have an example of, it's going to be big for these young boys watching.
Yes.
And I hope whatever narrative and storyline I get to do is close to home and close to heart, where these kids watch and they go like, okay, that's my story. I want to tell our story. And that was the first time when I read your WhatsApp. I was like, oh my brain goes really fast, but like I just realized and I said on how important this would be. And then I told Sean, can I write it also?
Oh yeah, he texted me. He was like, "Oh, Hirzi has like actually managed. Hirzi wanted to co-write it with me as well."
Yeah. So I told Sean like, dude, if I tell a story of the brown Malay boy who's secretly scared and queer, I would like to do that boy a justice. I want every single Malay boy who watch it and go like, hey, that's my story. Of course, in true honor to Hirzi, boy and Aflasid.
Do you find it like extra weight that there's like that? You know, that like, for example, like you're probably going to be the first like Malay lead in a BL series,
and you are clearly taking this as if you're about to become the future role model. Does this put pressure on you?
Yes, I feel, but it is a pressure I want to honor.
Right.
I think it's so important and so respectful to tell our story in a way that feels redeeming. You know, I feel like the community until today are not allowed platforms, are silenced. I'm pretty sure that there was a viral story about how this BL series in Malaysia almost happened, but
I vaguely recall something.
Yeah, but it got shut down real quick.
Yeah.
By the...
I don't know. I cannot say.
Okay.
I cannot say.
Yeah.
But I feel like every time young Malaysian queer boys write to me and thank me, it is always so important for that Singaporean Malay to wave that flag, because all the other Malays around the region, they can't. So they look to us as example and living vicariously through our ability to. As much as we feel stifled, we are one of the more liberated, free people in our region. So I want to honor that story. There's no pressure more light than an honor you want to achieve.
What the heck? That was insane. Someone printed on a t-shirt. I mean, it's interesting that like even like something like a BL series, for example, like that a lot of people like will watch for entertainment is also its own form of activism, right? In a sense, like it's just based on the stories that you tell, people will be able to, I guess, gain more awareness of all the cause, and also for the people who are, I guess, going through the same thing, they have solidarity with the content that you put out. I found out that you were the first like Muslim ambassadors for Pink Dot.
You found out? This is like unknown information, like green line and red line. What stations are on it?
I had to go and Google it. In 2015, you're the first Muslim ambassadors for Pink Dot. You're together with Munna.
Yes, sir.
And like, I was just wondering, like, you know, from back then in 2015, 7 years later, like, how far do you think has gay activism like evolved? Has it evolved, and you know, how do you see it becoming in the future?
Wow.
Especially with regards to this film, because I feel like I was talking to Sean about this. The reason why I asked this question, because I was talking to Sean about this, and I was saying that like I felt like this BL series was like a huge step forward for like activism wise, right? Because it's like not just, it doesn't look like it, but in a way it is. And like even like common folk like John and I,
Yeah.
or like TSL, our department like screened it and everyone just watched it together around the table. And there are like plenty of like just straight people. Correct. It's just like a common entertainment thing. So I thought that like, wow, this is actually like quite a groundbreaking thing for activism. But I just wanted to know from someone who actually is in the scene, like how do you feel he has changed?
2015. This was a very hard time, I'll be honest, with me and Muna on a personal capacity, with family, with relatives, and what was going on behind the scenes, which we never announced. So at that point of time, it felt so hard for us because everything we went through, we couldn't look up to someone and say, help us, give us an example and a guidance of what you went through, because there was no one that had that experience that we did. We had to figure everything out ourselves. And this was a time where the Malay Muslim community was still up in arms. I still think, okay, I used the wrong word. They're not up in arms, but they were vocally addressing or aggressing the movement. And we were
we're breaking new ground.
The guinea pig, the punching bag. Okay, not the punching bag. That would mean being not used as a punching bag. No. We were just basically the first example of.
Right.
And now I think whether we like it or not, there's so much more liberal progressive voices. It makes my day when I see young Gen Zs holding hands with their partners. Malay young Gen Zs holding hands. Like that level of safety you feel at the age of a teenager. Go boy. I ran so that you could do that, you know? And so now I think what's happened with me is I'm not scared already, lor. Like I went through the fire. It was really through the fire and back. So now anything that comes along with, I know once I do this BL series, I know it will set ablaze again. I'll go through it again. But it's been done already. Now I have myself as an example of I have myself as an example of, so I could at least go back through my previous experience in 2015 and say, look, we've been through it, we've done it, and it's so I think it's exciting. But why I still want to do it despite all the controversy is because it's important. I always say this, I do it for that young brown kid, right? And in my mind is this vivid young brown kid.
Yeah.
Does it like embody young you?
I do it for a vivid young brown kid.
Hey, I mean, in the next season of Getaway, hopefully it does happen. If you get to co-write it, I mean, you have mentioned a little bit about what you want it to be, but is there any like hopes and like and any aspirations you want for the series to go further from here? Because like season 1 just finished, right? Everyone is in the, you know, after a K-drama you watch already, then there's like this low where you're like, wow, no more episodes. But
I have to admit here that I am not a big fan of drama, so I don't know what you're talking about.
Stranger Things, when you watch Stranger Things, then the season
season
and then season date, right? And then like you're like, fuck lah, bro, I cannot think of what, bro. I want the next season now, and then the next season arose. Like then that's when the hopes and dreams will appear, right? What are your hopes and dreams for the series?
I think crowdfunding at this point is paramount to whether or not season 2 will happen. I think what's exciting if it's true that I do get to co-write and I do get to share screen time with Sean for season 2 or a main lead share time, screen time share. What I hope would happen is it unites the community on a diverse spectrum. As much as we like it, we're still Singaporeans. Right. So within the queer community itself are very diverse groups who don't mix around. So to be able to see a Chinese queer storyline and a Malay queer storyline on the same platform, it would really unite people as one, but we really see the textile and the fabrics of our community. And then you go, wow, so beautiful. And at the end of the day, are just beautiful storylines.
That would you say that didn't typically have the platform to interact, or why do you mention that like these communities are separated?
I think Singapore is just like that. I think we're all so separated from different classes, different races, different ethnic groups that we don't typically merge together. But to just, in a series, have all these storylines sort of like intertwined with each other. And you can't help but watch plot B, plot C, right? Then you'll be like, oh my God, that is the real Singapore story.
Right.
even on like, you know, when was the last time something like this is on TV? It's like probably Under One Roof, where the storyline is between the Malay neighbor and the Indian neighbor as well. But even then, there was like in small segments of it. But like if you share the airtime, I mean, people are gonna say, but Tang Lin also got what? Yeah, Tang Lin also got it.
Like Channel 5 didn't do a lot of things.
I mean, Tang Lin I never
But-
watched lah, so I
Did you watch Tang Lin? I think it was pretty decent.
I didn't also actually. Sorry.
never. We just
Oh.
Yeah.
just know got Tang Lin. I also know Tang Lin more.
Well, you see, like what I mean is like a Malay person, if they want to watch Malay storylines, they go
Yeah.
to Surya. And a Chinese person want to watch
Yeah.
Chinese storylines, they go to Channel 5. And like the storylines are always so separated. You know what's
Okay,
frustrating?
okay.
On like Malay channels, right? If you see a Chinese character or a white character, for some reason they're speaking Malay. For some reason!
Is it?
Yes, and I feel like I was on this meeting panel one with like the film commission boards of Singapore and stuff like something like that.
Yeah.
And I was telling them, I think one of the things I realized why local content is dwindling is because we stopped telling real stories. We
Yeah, it's
always
true.
tell vanilla curated stories that represent a perfect image of Singapore, but we don't tell truthful hearts. Yeah. And I hope if we do a season 2 and I co-write, we get to honor people's stories.
Yeah. I think you do that very well with your humor as well, right? Like not just like Getaway, because I mean the Getaway scene that you were in, hilarious by the way.
Yeah.
Go and watch it. But also the Benzi project, right? The Benzi project is one of the things where I was like, okay, they were tackling a lot of like otherwise very sensitive issues, but in a very, very humorous way.
Yeah.
And people don't realize that because it's humorous. So I was just wondering, like, one of the questions that I had that I thought was interesting was like, there is humor, but at the same time, like, what is there like an internal mechanism or like a line that you play around with regards to like sometimes if you use too much humor, the point gets like flies over people's heads, or like what is that fine line between like using humor to get to people, but at the same time like still making them understand the severity of an issue or like a social cause that you are trying to advocate for.
I actually did this writing course with this Wild Banana writer. And basically from me, he wanted to learn and unpack how I write comedy.
Yeah.
And I told him like in every comedy, there's the heart of tragedy. And my principle is everything is funny in life. So once you know the heart of the tragedy, you help make it light by making it funny. You exaggerate moments by making it funny. So for example, a scene would have been probably, just off my head, is how this boy helped his mum with a loan and gave her his savings, only to find out 2 days later that, fish, I land up in a situation where I need that money back. So how do I... And while that could be dark and real and serious, you just ping it to a comedic twist, and then suddenly, you know, financial issues and mental stress becomes something that you can consume the lessons of through humor. I always say in comedy, there's a line. You know where the line is. You don't cross it, but please step on it.
Yeah.
Because when people don't step on the line, when people don't address this thing, it becomes vanilla. Then there's no heart to what you're sharing or what you're saying. Like we covered very heavy issues on Benzi. Interracial relationships, racism at hand, privileges. And I think we even had like a gay script on which instead of hitting on the homophobia, we hit on internal homophobia.
Is it the tribe one?
Yeah, they're the only gay in the straight. The only straight in the gay village.
They're so good.
Yeah, and like, because those are the taboo topics that you don't want to talk about as a gay community. You don't want to address the internal homophobia people have within each other. The classist breakdown between two different classes of gay people. The just preferential mixing of the gay inter-tribes. But, hey, I think it's so important to tell the heart of the tragedy. I'm zoning out.
No, but it's true. Like you ended well.
Thank you.
Before you completely zoned out.
Heart of tragedy. Thank you.
It's true though.
Well,
interesting.
Is
Interesting
that line?
that you found a formula that you're able to work around heavy topics, which I think is rare in the media space, especially for Singapore.
Yeah.
Is that line that you mentioned, like the fact that you want to step on it and the fact you know not to cross it, is that line something that you just intuitively know, like over the years, or is it like
Is it a life experience thing?
Yeah.
This is so such a good question. Nobody have asked me before. But I learned it was a coping mechanism at a very young age. So
like your humor? Or?
Yeah. Right. So when I was a kid, I was very effeminate. Yeah. My wrist would fall in places it shouldn't. And in a traditional Malay family, you'd get heavy disciplining for it.
Right.
Like I'm saying I would be disciplined for acting effeminate. I wouldn't even just be left alone or laughed at. I would be disciplined for it. And then when you go to the larger family, the uncles and aunts would poke fun of you and like, make it a thing, make it a joke. And I remember as a kid knowing, as a 5-year-old kid, knowing if I were to come up to a relative gathering, I need to come with my best jokes. And so within my family, I learned to roast back my uncles and aunts at a very young age. Now in school, I was always very quiet until one day I decided I'm just going to start roasting myself back. I applied my family knowledge. I come from a very shady humor family, as in my extended family.
Yeah.
We're Malaccans like that. And then when I exported and applied that principle in school, when I learned that if I bully myself first, the bully doesn't have the punchline.
Yeah.
And everyone was laughing with me and not at me.
Yeah.
I felt so powerful. The toxicity happened then that I started using this and applying it to everyone. I was just roasting everyone along the way. Yeah. I roast me right now, I roast you. So that became a thing in my teens where I felt claiming my power was to make fun of everything I went through. And then only recently that I started realizing, oh, everything is funny in life. If you can just not take life so seriously and think that everything, there's a heart of the message. As long as you know, right, this is the heart of my message when I do this. The comedy is just a mask and a facade that makes this storyline more palatable. Spoonful of sugar makes the medicine go down.
Yeah.
Like that law.
Then over time, and plus 10 years of practice and 15 years in the industry.
And you still must practice because sometimes you step on the wrong toes. Yeah. So sorry about it.
I mean, now that, I guess bringing it back to Getaway, now that hopefully there's season 2 and season 1 just finished, for the people who, maybe haven't heard of Getaway and are about to start watching it after, being thoroughly convinced by the philosophy behind it because of you or because they want to see you in the series, what do you hope for them to take away after watching?
That they need to crowdfund so that I can write my own lead storyline next season. Thank you. Right. No, I'm kidding. I think okay, I'm going to say this. I am going to say this. There is no need for us to, within a community, feel like there is... How do I phrase this? I think as a community, supporting whoever runs the flag is so important. Because then what it does is it opens up doors. Every door someone opens up more doors for us. Yeah. And so I think it's important that if this is our first door open, that we all come together and say, okay, where can I put my skills, my aid, what I think I can help this make and become? Yeah, I think as Singaporeans, we're just generally very, very... protective and possessive of our craft, that when someone else does it, we sort of kind of want to
denounce it,
have our say in it, denounce it, or pick apart. But remember that a BL series being told by Singaporeans is the heart of our tragedy as a community. And if you think you can better it, come on board and help it. Come on board and do stuff about it. So if it's in crowdfunding, do it. And I think it's so important as a community that we recognize that one door open is 10 more doors for all of us to run and open with. Yeah.
I think that's all the questions I have, Hirzi. But before we end it off real quick, are there any final thoughts, final musings or reflections from this experience and hopefully the future experience you're about to have?
Wow. What was a broad stroke of a question? So much pressure.
I know my favorite question as an interviewer, because I don't need to think, I just anyhow ask, what's your final thoughts? And then they have to think of some final thought. I don't even have to think of the question, I just say final thought and then suddenly this person has to come up with some insightful thing.
Final thoughts. I think Hey, Audio Technica. My name is Hirzi, and I'm about to start a podcast series. If you like to work with the founding prince and princess of YouTube Singapore, holla. But if you want to crowdfund the BL Getaway series, please approach Sean from District People.
Yes.
Thank you.
And you know what? Let me just continue the plug train one last time.
Yes.
We are crowdfunding. We haven't quite realized it yet so far in the podcast. Hopefully you guys will go down and give your support to Getaway Season 2.
Yes.
I know I'll be definitely donating some of my money as well. And hopefully we'll make Season 2 a reality. We get to see this handsome man on screen. And show off his talents in not just acting but writing as well.
Thank you.
And I thoroughly enjoyed the series so far. Haven't watched episode 4 because I heard it's a bit of a raunchy one.
Haven't had time to watch beyond episode 1 because life.
Any last thoughts, John, before we end it?
No, I think today this has been super insightful in the sense that a genre like this not existing in Singapore and pioneering it is very much in the Singaporean culture that people want to pick apart, like what you mentioned. So I think it is very, very, very brave and very, very, for the lack of a better word, because my vocab no good, it's like interesting that you all push forward to continue to inspire people to recognize their own story through a drama series, which I think is great lah.
Yeah. And with that, guys, thank you guys so much for watching this week's episode of IMO. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys want Hirzi back on another episode, tell us so that I can bug him more and
actually live across.
Or Muna,
Yeah,
because
exactly.
like he say you, then you come on then roast him back.
Thank you guys so much.
Muna will be like, if it's not a paid thing, I'm not posting it.
You don't have to post it.
No
We are
need to
posting
post.
it.
No need to like Hirzi say quote unquote the wholeness. No need.
She will come dress whole anyways, I'm telling you.
You know what?
Then your mom will say what?
After eat chicken wing.
Also,
I think you were very nice, okay? Not say your chicken wing very nice.
I love the chicken wings. But thank you guys so much for being here. Stay safe. Don't get COVID. See you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you guys.